right? So people think, oh, I'll just get out of jail free card. I'll bring the blood of the animal, and that blood will cleanse me. And Yeshua is saying that blood's not going to help you if you're still sinning. Don't try to get right with God if you've got something where you're not right with man.
So Nehemia, I just want to say something here. What I find interesting about the verse is that a theme, and the theme is please allow me to use an image.
Yeah.
Can I just use an image? Please don't be offended.
What's that?
When I first became a part of the church, I heard this verse from Yeshua that said to love God and to love people. And I remember a youth pastor. Youth pastor stands up and he says, how are you going to remember this? He says it's the sign of the cross. So what's the sign of the cross? Now just bear with me now. You're going to like this.
Okay.
The sign of the cross was there's a vertical relationship, your relationship with God. Now this is me early. Listen, folks, I am an unchurched guy. I didn't know the church. I didn't hear about the church till I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
So for me, this is brand new stuff.
Okay.
He says, so first you have to have a relationship with God that's vertical. Then you have to have a horizontal relationship that's with the people around you. And I remember thinking about that, thinking, so is that really necessary? And the more that I grew in my faith, I was like, man, it's so much easier for me to have this relationship with God. It's so difficult to have a relationship with people. And this idea that if you had this gift that you're bringing it to God, he would say, leave to rest that there and go and take care of business with someone else. I mean, it almost seemed like that was just too radical. But is that something beyond what Yeshua taught in other parts of the Tanakh?
I would say there's definitely here a major, and this is interesting, there's this major split between Judaism and Christianity, and Yeshua, especially what he's teaching here in the Sermon on the Mount, is on the side of Judaism. and Christianity is almost alien to what he's teaching. So the Christian ideal, and by Christian, I know some people say, well, they weren't Christians. Well, it's what people thought were Christians. Right? In the early centuries of the Christian movement, the ideal was to be a monk who lives out in the mountains in a cave and has no interaction with the world.
That's spiritual.
That's the ideal. That's true spirituality. Everything else is of the world, and you're participating in the world, you're of the world, and you're lacking your spiritual pursuit. In Judaism, and this I think is correct representation of the Tanakh and what Yeshua was teaching, the ideal is you're part of the human community. You're part of the community you live in, and you interact with people every day, and you overcome your desire to sin. My desire is to gossip. My desire is to be jealous. My desire is to covet. And what Yeshua is teaching and what the Tanakh teaches is you live within that world and you overcome those things. And you're not always perfect. And that's why we have repentance. That's why we have mercy. That's why we have grace.